All right, so we've got the ISO Hemlock, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I do have a build to share with you guys today. This is an accuracy build that I know a lot of you guys are going to enjoy. So we're going to talk about the class setup, and then we are going to go into the technicals of the class setup and how it affects the weapon compared to the base weapon. So you guys kind of get an idea of where this weapon stands after we put on these attachments. If you find it informational, helpful, make sure to leave a like. I'd really appreciate it, and subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's get on with the video. So let's start off with the muzzle. We have the Komodo Heavy here. Now, the reason why I went with this attachment is because it gives us horizontal recoil. Now, upon my testing of the base recoil, it had very good vertical recoil, but the horizontal recoil started to veer off to the right. Make sure to check out my video taking a look at some baseline stat testing for the ISO Hemlock, and you'll see the recoil pattern there. The Komodo Heavy, it gives us pretty ample horizontal recoil control, and that's why I went with this attachment. So I went with 0.62 towards that aim down sight speed and 0.25 towards that aiming idle stability. I kind of wanted to add in a little bit more accuracy as well, because I totally could have just went all the way to, you know, gun kick recoil while not really hindering the accuracy too much. So that's just an example of how you can really just fine tune, no pun intended, your class setups. But as it stands, I'd like to keep it around here in this area. So just use the graph in the middle as your guide. All right, next up we have the Fielder T50 barrel. This gives us some damage range, bullet velocity, hip fire accuracy, and recoil control. I was mainly after the recoil control here as well as that hip fire accuracy. Upon actually testing this weapon, the damage range doesn't really do too much as far as what I've done. You know, when I do these testing, it's hand tested, so it may not be as accurate as other people might have it. But I did notice the 3-shot kill extends out to 31 meters. So the base 3-shot kill is 30 meters. When I had this attachment on, I just tested it meter by meter basically, and I got a 4-shot kill at that 32 meter range. Therefore, it's a 3-shot kill at 31 meters. So, you know, not too big of a jump there, but it is something nonetheless. But like I said, the recoil control definitely does make a pretty big difference here. So for the tuning on the Fielder T50, I went with 0.24 towards that aim walking speed and 0.27 towards that aim down sight speed. So as you can see here in the graph, it is pretty messed up here. There's a pretty big dent there in the handling, but you know, there's only so much you can do with the tuning that they give us to work with. So this is about as optimized as I could possibly get it for myself. But like I said, you can always skew it towards one way or the other. All right, moving on to the laser, I went with the FSS OV laser. This is just purely to balance out the weapon a little bit, you know, because we get some aim down sight speed here, aiming stability, and sprint to fire speed. With the aim down sight speed, it does help somewhat, because if we were not adding this attachment, then we're probably not going to get as optimal ADS as possible. Because remember, this is an accuracy build. When you build things in this game and you skew it towards, you know, your bias, like I want a accuracy build. When you make an accuracy build, it's just natural for your movement and mobility, etc., to be weaker. That's why I wanted to balance out this class setup just a little bit more by adding on this laser. And for the tuning on the laser, this is actually new to Season 2 in Modern Warfare 2, which is actually pretty cool. So I went with 0.40 towards that sprint to fire speed and 41.13 feet towards that aim down sight speed. All right, moving on to the RCOM stock. So this is the RCOM S4. This gives us sprint speed, aim walking speed, crouch movement speed, as well as aim down sight speed. I did test out the sprint speed as well, side by side with the base weapon. All right, and for the tuning, I went with 3.23 ounces towards aim walking steadiness, and aiming idle stability is going to be at 1.86. All right, last but not least, we have the X10 grip for the rear grip. This will give us sprint to fire speed as well as aim down sight speed. And for tuning, I went with 0.39 towards that recoil steadiness and negative 0.17 towards that sprint to fire speed. Let's go ahead and check out these test results of this exact build versus the base weapon. We have the base weapon here on the left and our accuracy build here on the right. Remember what I said, when you try to build weapons towards that accuracy category, your movement mobility is going to be worsened. That's why we added specific attachments to help out with mobility and movement when we were talking about it in the gunsmith. Let's see how my accuracy build fares up versus the base weapon. There is completely no attachments on it. Let's check it out. So what we're doing here is we're basically doing a relay race from one end of the map to the other, and then we're going to stop it as soon as they hit the wall. All right, so I think it's clear. There would definitely be a big discrepancy between what's obviously visually faster and what would be slower. And also looking at the times here, 9.867, 9.867, they both have hit the wall. And yeah, I think it's safe to say By the way, this is hand testing, okay? So this might not be accurate when you look on a website like sim.gg when they do come out with these stats for specific attachments, but hand testing it, it's clear as day that when you add on the attachments that I have recommended to you guys, it's not really going to affect your overall movement speed because we're balancing out the weapon to counteract the negatives of mobility and movement with the attachments that we have added here. So there is no change in movement speed with these attachments, so we're safe there. So right here, we have the base weapon, and then we're going to compare it to the ADS speed of our current accuracy build. One thing I'm looking for here is when this side or, you know, the view starts to move is when the timer is going to start, and we're actually just going to do this frame by frame rather than just letting it play because it'll just be easier to track. All right, let's give it a little bit more. Okay, so right here, timer starts as soon as the background starts moving. You see that zoom in right there? That's what we want to see. So we're going to go ahead and play it, and then we're going to stop it as soon as the background stops moving. That's the best way we can accurately test this. So let's go back a few frames. Let's make sure there is no more movement. Yep, there's no more movement right there at 233. Let's take it back just a little bit just to make sure. 217, no more movement. All right, there it is. Boom, it stops moving at 217 milliseconds. And that's how we came up with this value here for the ADS speed. All right, so the base weapon has an ADS speed of 217 milliseconds. Let's see what happens with this accuracy build. So we're going to apply the same exact principles here. We're going to wait for something in the background to move. There you go. All right, we got some movement. We got that zoom in. Now let's keep it going. All right, it has stopped. Now we got to backtrack a couple. So see how there's a little bit of movement there? All right, right there. It stops at 283 milliseconds for the aim down sight speed. So 217 versus 283. Obviously, that's a huge difference, but this is as optimal as you can get it. You shouldn't even be expecting really fast ADS regardless because we're building this towards that accuracy. So this is as optimal as I could get it without really butchering too much of the ADS. If we were to use a different stock or a different grip, then obviously the results would be different, but this is as optimal as I could get it. 283 versus 217. It would definitely be concerning if this was way over 300 milliseconds. Lastly, let's talk about the most important stat, which is accuracy, because that's what we've built it for. So here on the left, we have our base recoil pattern, and then here on the right, we have our new accuracy pattern with all our attachments combined. This is what I was talking about in the gunsmith, how the base recoil, not too much vertical recoil, but it has some very crazy horizontal recoil control right there. So it's basically almost like a C pattern. All right. So with our accuracy build, we do get to control that horizontal recoil control here, which is why we chose the Komodo. As you can see, it's a lot cleaner as well. It's a lot tighter, and it's also more consistent between the spaces of the bullet impacts. As over here, it's pretty much all over the place, and then it veers off to the right. So even as is, even base recoil, it's not that hard to manage. All you have to do is just really counteract that recoil pattern when you're aiming at an enemy. When we put on these attachments for this accuracy build, this is going to make it so much easier to do so. So hopefully so far this has been informational. If you guys are enjoying the content, a like is definitely appreciated. This is the new 𝗪𝗪𝗧 map. What I like to do when I'm spawning on this end here is I like to run up these elevators. Now, the reason why is because I want to make my way to the control zone. That's what I like to call it, this area right here, because we get, number one, we get high ground, and then number two, we get a nice bird's eye view of everything that's going on around the map, because we're essentially in the center. And I like it because there's very few points of entry here that's manageable to hold down if you have the right equipment, such as claymores. All right, so we're going to have to continue this commentary without my face cam, because for some reason, whenever I apply the face cam, it just starts to freeze when I'm doing a screen capture. So there's nothing I can do about that. But nonetheless, we're going to, the show must go on. So I'm not going to talk about every single detail here, but only the important ones. The main thing that I'm looking at is keeping an eye on my minimap, looking at where my teammates are, because that will give me one big clue as to where the opponents might possibly be. So I'm going up these stairs, trying to establish position once again. And here's another lookout that you can check for enemies. Obviously, I was a little too late there. That guy was already AESing. He was ready for the gunfight. And as you can see, he took me out fairly easily. So the strategy is always going to remain the same. It doesn't change just because I die here and there. I'm always going to try to take control of that control zone that I was speaking of. Now, I did hear some footsteps. That's why I made my way to this area. And as I turn the corner, I try to pre-aim as much as I possibly can so that I can get the upper hand in that gunfight. So here is the objective. This is the headquarters. So obviously, I'm going to try to play the objective here. And then what I'm going to do is try to fend off the opponents from coming to the objective. Now, the reason why I didn't go back to that museum area is because I know the enemies are going to be here. Once the rotations do happen, that's when I'm going to go back to that main area. As far as the accuracy build goes, you'll see that it is a very maintainable recoil at range, as you see there. I don't know what that guy was doing up there, but definitely had to take him out. I'm pre-aiming. I know that the headquarters is over here. That's why my attention is in that direction. Now, I didn't expect that guy to flank me from behind. I thought he was literally going to be where his teammates were. So that definitely caught me off guard. But nonetheless, the show goes on. So this is an area that I'm going to like because I know the enemies are coming in here. So I'm going to try to make my way back up to that museum area. Now, I was kind of checking, how did I die right here? This guy had a really awesome grenade throw. By the way, guys, if you guys like these breakdown videos where I'm just kind of going over play-by-play or the important things, let me know down below in the comments. I could do these a lot more often. So here's a line of sight right here that I know to expect enemies at. That's why I'm pre-aiming down here. I know my teammate to the left has that area covered. That's why I'm not really paying attention too much to that area. All right, so I'm making my way back up here, up these stairs. It's a routine, basically. It's a strategy, I would say. I'm gonna check this area right here. This is a line of sight. Of course, you don't want to stay here too long. Aim is a little off. And I definitely got taken out. I definitely could not even see that guy from where I was. It was a little too far for my taste, but that's okay. I do notice a little straggler here. I like to call them stragglers, you know, when they're here all by themselves. Turn on my dead silence here just so that the opponents don't hear my footsteps. I see that this might be a prime flanking opportunity looking at where my teammates are on the minimap. When you're trying to flank and you're trying to do it objectively, you always want to go the opposite direction of where most of your teammates are at. Obviously, you can't really do it all the time, but it works nonetheless. I hear footsteps right here. It's crazy how loud these footsteps are, man. So apparently the opponent has been spawning in over there. So sometimes the spawns can be very difficult to predict, especially if, you know, you're playing on a new map such as this. Well, not really a new map, but relatively new to us in Season 2. You got to keep playing the maps. That's how you know and understand where the spawns are going to be. And again, your teammates and the objectives can be clues as to how to find where they're at. So this guy definitely hit me. I'm going to wait. I'm going to be patient. I'm gonna make him think that I went somewhere else. He went for the chase, so I came out, I heard his footsteps, and I took him out. Unfortunately, did not win that gunfight. So this is that area that I was talking about. Look at that mini-map. Let's pre-aim here. Okay. Take cover every time you reload, pre-aiming. Heard his footsteps down there as well. That was a pretty nice kill. So this rock right here, I like to pre-aim before I go in. Like, I like to look down that hallway just to make sure it's safe because it's a two-way street essentially when you go up there. You know, you never know if you're gonna get, you know, killed from the back or, you know, in the front. So you gotta be careful. All right, so this is where I'm looking to set up some shop here. I'm pre-aiming. But again, like, the minimap is telling me all I need to know. So there's one guy down there. I'm not going to chase that guy because there's another priority here. Another enemy came out. So as you see here, I have a claymore right there because I know that's where they've been coming in for spawning. Now, we have a little bit of a problem here. No ammo, and there was an enemy right there. He was too distracted by my claymore, so I went ahead and meleeed him. I know melee gives you a lot faster movement, so obviously the chances of me winning that engagement there was a lot lower, but luck was on my side right there. I used the movement and just quick thinking. So my claymore did help me out. My little trap helped me out right there. Someone's chasing me. I went ahead and reload. Came back out, popped out. When someone's chasing you, it's situational. You can either keep running away or keep the enemy guessing where you're at. That's why I use that pillar down there as a bit of a, you know, a buffer between us while I was reloading my weapon and catch him by surprise by just listening to his footsteps, staying silent, keep the enemy guessing. See how that line of sight works perfectly because it's a transition between their spawn and where they're trying to go to. I did see someone else right here in front of me, but I'm not going to chase. Just because you see opponents doesn't mean you should chase literally everything. I did hear this guy's footsteps pre-aiming down those escalator, and I'm going to set up that claymore right there because that's potentially where an enemy could come through. More often than not, it actually does play out really well. So the reason why I'm hanging out in this area is because looking at the minimap, all my teammates are on one side of the map. So again, your chances of coming across enemies are going to be that much higher. That's how you avoid just running around the map looking for people, because when you do that and follow your teammates, you're just going to be competing for kills at that point with your own teammates. So that's why I've been getting into a lot of engagements and seeing a lot of enemies. So thanks to the UAV, I was able to pinpoint exactly where that guy was. I'm going to use my knife there to help me run a little bit faster. You may see me doing that every now and then. I see that it's contested, so obviously there's opponents there, but along the way, you still got to be cautious of those stragglers. See, notice how I was a little patient right there? I let him make the first move. I didn't rush that guy like he rushed me. So that's how I was able to win that engagement. Obviously, it doesn't happen like that 100% of the time, but most of the time it works. Patience is key. All right, so I know where this guy's going. I see these two right here. Expecting one more up there, but the match is about to end here. All right, and that's about it. We got the win here, and I ended with 42 kills. Let's actually see what the final score was. Like I said, guys, this is not like a gameplay to flex or anything like that. Just kind of showing you guys my thought process of what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and you know how you consistently get a good KD. So I got 42 kills here and 13 deaths. Obviously, we didn't really get to max out our kill streaks, but nonetheless, we did well, and I'm sure that's what a lot of you guys want to do when you hop on and play this game. But anyways, guys, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, turn on noties, and leave a comment down below if you like this style of video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.